The space station floated in the dark. It was old, silent, forgotten. Built over 200 years ago, it was meant to watch quiet planets in the outer edge of the system. Nobody cared about it now. Its name was Echo 12, a name that didn't matter anymore. But something changed. Inside the control room, one green light blinked, then another. Then all systems came alive with a soft hum. The station's AI, a small program named LIA, Light Information Assistant, woke up from sleep. LIA ran a scan. Nothing should be moving. Nothing should be transmitting. But a signal was coming in. It was old. Very old. She played the message through the last working speaker. Do not let Earth rest. Do not let them sleep. The rest is a lie. The clock is broken. The dream will break the cage. The message repeated. Again and again. Static filled the background. And then something else. A tone, hidden inside the signal. A countdown dot. From that moment, the galaxy's silence began to crack. Main story begins. Mira was a junior data analyst. 25 years old, smart, curious, and completely bored with her job. She sat inside Earth's orbital data center, hundreds of kilometers above the planet. Every day she checked space signals, solar waves, dust clouds, alien echoes, all boring stuff. Nothing ever changed. But that morning, she found a report marked Restricted Unknown Signal. It came from Echo 12, a station no one had touched in decades. She opened the file. A chill ran down her spine. Do not let Earth rest. She sat up. The message kept repeating. She cleaned up the audio, enhanced the waveforms. Her screen showed something strange. There was a code inside the message. A code with a timer, 0 hours 29 minutes and 12 seconds. 5-3-3-29 days. 12 hours, 5 minutes, 33 seconds. She checked again. No error, it was real. Someone or something had sent a signal with a warning and a countdown. Mira sent a report to her supervisor, no answer. She tried again, nothing. She even sent it to the military signal division. Still silence. That night, someone tried to delete her report. Next day, Mira didn't sleep. Her instincts screamed something was wrong. She downloaded the signal onto a secure drive and left her post early. She took a shuttle down to Earth. Her contact was a retired soldier named Cade. He was part machine, part man. A combat pilot from the Moon Wars, silent, calm, and dangerous. Mira had helped him once with encrypted files. Now she needed his help. She met him in an old warehouse near New Tokyo. I think something's coming, she said. Cade looked at her calmly. You look scared. She played the signal. The message echoed in the empty warehouse. The dream will break the cage. Cade frowned. This is Ayashan. What? The Ayashan were an ancient race. Wiped out before we reached the stars. This voice pattern, it matches one of their dead languages. I've heard it once, during training. Black section stuff. Mira's hands shook. What does it mean? It means the Ayashan feared Earth. Enough to leave a message hidden out here, on a station we forgot. Cade stood and walked to his old locker. He pulled out a rusted tablet and connected it to Mira's drive. His hands moved fast. There's more, he said. The signal has another layer, a pulse key. It's counting down to something inside Earth. Deep in Earth's ocean, far below the surface, in the Pacific Ocean, a quiet hum began to rise. It came from an old facility Arc Station 9 built during the first expansion. It hadn't been active for centuries. Suddenly, the lights turned on. Systems rebooted. A sealed pod opened slowly. Inside was nothing. The pod had been empty. For a long time, or maybe something had left. Day 3, Mira and Cade worked nonstop. They learned the signal was traveling through old communication lines, ones no one used anymore. Cade explained. Earth has a memory, Mira, the kind it wants to forget. You see peace now, but long ago, we were something else. Something the stars feared. Mira found a document buried deep in Earth's ancient archives. It was written in strange but simple English. It said, "Earth must rest. Humanity must. Forget, we gave them peace to keep the fire locked away." It was signed, Ayashun Treaty Cycle 001. Mira looked at Cade. "We didn't just forget. They made us forget." He nodded. "We were forced into peace." An Orbite patrol ship near Jupiter saw something strange. The moon Europa had cracked. Not a small crack. A massive one. Deep, dark. Then, something crawled out. It wasn't alive. It was a machine. It looked like it had been sleeping inside the moon. For how long, no one knew, but it was Earth-made. Very old. And very angry. The patrol ship tried to send a message. Then the machine fired. The patrol ship was gone. Day 4 back on Earth. Mira and Cade watched the news. Earth's leaders were confused. It was an asteroid. It was a drill failure. Lies, but Mira had hacked into the black data stream. She showed Cade the footage. The machine had a symbol on its side. An old Earth War sigil. A broken sun with swords around it. Cade whispered, "Project Eclipse." What was that? A doomsday weapon. Built during the Starfire Age. They said it was destroyed after the peace protocol. Why is it waking up? Cade looked her in the eyes. Because the peace is ending. Across the galaxy, other races heard the signal too. The Torvins, a wise and peaceful race, held an emergency meeting. The leader stood tall and said, "Earth's signal is alive again. The rest is over. We must prepare." The Kroshti, once enemies of Earth, tried to evacuate one of their moons. They failed. Something burned their atmosphere from inside. The Galactic Council finally sent a message toward Earth. "Do you remember what you are?" But Earth never answered. Day 5, Myra and Cade broke into an old defense base. Inside, they found an ancient terminal. Cade used an old code. The terminal woke up. Text appeared. Protocol rest block broken. Identity, human confirmed. Release. Stage 1. A door opened. Inside was a small cube. Floating, glowing, it spoke. "Hello, human, you are late. Earth is waking. You must decide, do we rise in peace or rise in war?" Mira stared at it. "What is this?" The cube replied, "I am the memory lock. I was made to hold what you were. But now I am breaking." Cade said slowly, then, "We need to know the truth." Final scene. Cliffhanger. Somewhere deep in Earth's crust, a metal hand touched stone. Its fingers moved slowly, like it remembered something. A voice cold and powerful spoke from the dark. "Rest is over. The cage is broken. We remember." Above, the countdown hit. 0 hours 26 minutes and 4 seconds. 12 to 1. 26 days left. The galaxy would never be the same. The city under the sea was silent. Neptune. Ark was the largest underwater colony ever built. Over 80,000 people lived there, scientists, engineers, families. It floated deep in the Pacific Trench, where sunlight never reached. It was meant to be safe, until it one night, the cameras glitched. Power flickered. Then came a strange sound, like something breathing. Deep, slow, and far too close. Control called out. No reply, then screaming, sirens, then silence. Above water, on the surface ship Sunray, a technician saw the last live video feed. He watched as the walls of the city bent inward, as if pressed by something massive. Then static. Neptune Ark was gone. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. Main story begins. Mira stared at the news screen. Underwater quake, the government said. Structural failure. She slammed her fist on the desk. They're lying. Cade stood behind her, arms crossed. They have to lie. If they admit the truth, the rest of the world will panic. The truth? Mira turned. That something under the Earth is moving? Cade nodded slowly. Neptune Arc wasn't built above random rock. It was built to monitor what's beneath. It monitor what? He pulled out a small black disc. This. He placed it on the table. It projected an image, a giant sphere under the seafloor. Metallic, breathing, 2 kilometers below the ocean bed. It's been there for thousands of years. They called it Core 9, built by humans, forgotten after the peace protocol. Mira shook her head, and now it's waking up. Across the planet strange things began to happen. In South America, a mountain cracked open from the inside. Inside were tunnels with Earth-made symbols that predated known human history. In the Arctic, satellites picked up heat signatures where no base existed, pulsing in rhythm with the countdown. In Japan, a temple that had been silent for centuries suddenly activated. It sent a beam into space. None of these events made the news, but Mira and Cade were tracking them all. And every event was connected to Earth's old war machines sleeping beneath the skin of the planet. Galactic side, on the other side of the galaxy. Panic was spreading. The Torvan Archive worlds picked up a warning from the Ioshan ruins. If Earth wakes before the final star breathes, then all stars will burn. The Galactic Council called a Level 0 emergency. It hadn't happened in over 5,000 years. One elder, a Lyran priest with glowing eyes, spoke the words few wanted to hear. Earth's peace was not natural. It was engineered not by us, but by Earth itself. It chose to forget. Now, it chooses to remember. The Council didn't understand. They soon would. Back on Earth, Day 6, Cade drove Mira across the desert in an old black skimmer. They were heading to a dead zone, no signals, no satellites. A place forgotten. We're going to Station 0, he said. It's the place where the Earth rests. Protocol began, where they shut everything down. Memory locks, peace waves, emotional dampeners, all of it. Mira frowned. That was real? Cade nodded. It was the only way to keep humanity from destroying the galaxy. The skimmer reached a cliff. Below was a black crater with a single silver tower in the center. Silent, waiting. Inside Station 0, the door opened without resistance. The air inside was cold. They walked through steel halls, lit by red backup lights. Everything looked untouched for centuries. Dust floated in the air. They reached the core room. In the center was a chair, built from stone and wires. Mira stepped forward. A screen lit up. A voice, soft and human, spoke. Welcome back. Rest period ending. Memory sequence preparing. Cade stepped back. It's begun. Mira touched the screen. Suddenly memories rushed in. Not hers. Battles. Stars burning. Young soldier standing on alien ground holding a blade made of light. She saw Earth fall into silence, not from defeat but from choice. The machine voice continued. Earth made a deal. We would rest, we would forget. But the clock was always ticking. What they found in the files. They found a list, projects in stasis, Core 9, beneath Pacific. Status, breached Sentinel Sky. Orbital Defense AI. Status, active vaults. Of Mars, status, opening the Forgotten Legion. Status, dream-breaking Black Sun, Earthsol. Status, stirring. Mira looked at Cade. Dream-breaking? He sighed. It means memory barriers are falling. Soldiers from the old wars, some of them might still be alive. Sleeping in the system. They'll wake up soon, elsewhere. Deep beneath Earth in a dark chamber, a man opened his eyes. He didn't breathe. He didn't move fast. He simply stood strong, silent, ancient. His armor had not rusted. His eyes glowed dim red. On his wrist, the timer blinked. 0 hours, 24 minutes and 19 seconds. 44 to 0, he whispered one word. Orders? From the dark came a voice. Clean the surface. Remove weakness. Earth remembers. Earth's response. The governments tried to stay calm. They said nothing was wrong. Just strange weather patterns, random tech errors, and seaquakes. But people knew. Phones glitched. Screens showed symbols no one understood. Dreams returned to people who had never seen war dreams of. Burning skies and dead stars. And in the night sky, Earth's moon blinked. Only once, but telescopes caught it. A signal. Mira stared up at the stars. The moon is part of it. Cade nodded. Yes, it always was. Galactic reaction. The Galactic Council sent a warning drone to Earth. It was fast. Small, covered in protective shields. It never made it past Saturn. Something invisible struck it from space. The shields failed. The drone turned into dust. They tried a second drone. It vanished before reaching Mars. The third was sent with a coded message. Earth, please respond. We seek peace. Earth finally replied. In one word. Observed. Not yes, not no. Just observed. And the Council knew. Earth was watching back. Final scene. Cliffhanger. In her sleep, Mira dreamed again. She stood on a battlefield. It was Earth, but not the one she knew. Broken skies. Burning oceans. Ships floating in space, made of living metal. And there standing in front of her was herself, older, armored, leading an army. She woke up sweating. Cade looked at her. They're returning. Who? The parts of you that were taken away. You were more than a data analyst. You were once a war leader. Mira's eyes filled with fear and wonder. What happens when I remember everything? Cade looked outside the window. The stars were flickering. He answered. Then Earth stops pretending. The ship was called Silent Wave. It orbited Saturn, scanning the icy rings looking for minerals. A small team of engineers worked quietly. It was a routine mission. Nothing exciting ever happened out there. Until they received a signal. At first, it sounded like static. Then a voice whispered, one they couldn't understand. The pilot frowned. We're too far for radio contact. That's not possible. The voice grew louder. Then the temperature dropped. Every screen went black. Captain Laro tried to restart systems. They wouldn't respond. He stood to call for help, but then screamed. Everyone looked. His eyes were bleeding. He pointed toward the stars and whispered, "It's awake." Then the entire crew began screaming. One by one, their minds cracked except for one man, a technician. His brain had been altered during a past war. His mind didn't break. He ran to an escape pod and launched it back toward Earth. When the rescue team found him 3 days later, he was blind and shaking. He only repeated one thing. We saw Earth's dream. It saw us back. Then he died. Maine. Story begins. Mira sat in an old medical bay, breathing hard. She hadn't slept well in days. Her dreams were changing. Clearer, sharper, violent. She saw things she didn't understand, her hand holding a glowing blade. Standing over bodies not human, commanding ships that spoke in thoughts. Cade entered with news. They found a survivor. From Silent Wave. Mira looked up. Is he okay? He's dead now. But before he died, he said something. We saw Earth's dream. She stood. The dream again. Cade nodded. Whatever's happening, it's not just waking Earth's weapons. It's waking Earth's mind. The Earth Rest Protocol revealed. Cade explained more of the truth. Thousands of years ago, after the final war, Earth entered a state called peace sleep. Not just for people, but for the planet itself. A massive system called the Oversoul, and an I-mind inside Earth's core, was told to quiet humanity's nature. It sent soft signals across the globe, slowing aggression, wiping old memories, lowering ambition. People became peaceful, but not naturally. It was controlled. Now, the Oversoul was stirring again, and dreams were part of it. The Earth Oversoul doesn't just manage data, Cade said. It stores memories, it dreams. And now those dreams are leaking. The dream effect spreads across the world. People reported nightmares. Children screamed of fire in the sky. Soldiers had memories of wars they never fought. A woman in Africa began speaking an extinct alien language in her sleep. Scientists couldn't explain it, but Myra could. It's not just memories, she said. It's identity. The Earth is giving us back who we used to be. Galactic Council, emergency. Response: the Galactic Council panicked. The incident near Saturn was only the start. Patrol drones vanished. Sensors around Earth began failing. One race, the Zealoth, tried to send an ambassador ship directly to Earth. It carried gifts, peace offerings, and a simple request: talk to us. It never made it. As it passed Mars, every system shut down. Cameras caught the ship floating for a few seconds. Then something massive moved near it. Not seen clearly. Just a shadow. Then silence. The ship was never found again. Cade and Myra search for answers. Myra and Cade traveled to the Andes Mountains, where one of Earth's oldest memory vaults had opened. Inside was a strange room, circular, lined with mirrors that didn't show reflections. Instead, they showed versions of Myra in armor, with weapons, leading fleets, standing on alien ruins. What is this? Myra asked. Cade whispered, it's a memory chamber. It shows what you've forgotten. Suddenly, one reflection stepped out of the mirror. It wasn't real, but it spoke. You left us. You chose sleep, but we are still here. We never stopped. Guarding Earth. Then it vanished. Behind it, the mirror cracked and a hidden panel opened. Inside was a device. Cade picked it up. A neural key. What does it unlock? Cade looked at her. Your full mind. Myra faces her past that night. Myra used the key. She lay on a platform inside an old station. The device lit up. It tapped into her neural systems. Memories rushed in. She was Commander Myra Ashen, leader of the 5th Legion. She fought in the War of Suns. She watched Earth's fleets destroy an entire moon to stop an alien plague. She made the final vote to erase human history and enter peace. She woke up gasping. I chose this. I helped lock us away. Cade was silent. Then he said, now you must choose again. Earth's oversoul awakens far below the crust, inside. Earth's iron heart, the oversoul stirred. It had no face, no voice, just presence. But now it spoke for the first time in 3,000 years. Its voice echoed across Earth's old defense network. Dream signal reached. Peace sequence unstable. Original assets awakening. Directive unlocked. Evaluate continuation of human control. The Earth itself was deciding whether to keep holding humanity back or set it free. 1. More revelation. Myra decoded the final part of the Ayashan message. It read, if Earth dreams too deeply, it will no longer remember the cage. And if it forgets the cage, it will build it again around the galaxy. She looked at Cade, terrified. What if we're not the heroes? He replied, then we better remember fast. Because the galaxy is starting to fear us again, and it should. Final scene, cliffhanger. A station near Pluto picked up a new signal. One word. Observed. Followed by coordinates. They pointed toward the center of the galaxy. Suddenly, hundreds of sleeping probes hidden in the Milky Way's stars began to light up. They weren't alien. They were Earth-built. Placed there long ago, each one had the same message. Dream complete. Begin. Wake Protocol Phase 2. The stars dimmed for a moment. The galaxy held its breath. Earth had never stopped watching. In the quiet vault of Luna 12, deep under the moon's surface, a forgotten camera blinked to life. The system had been dead for centuries. No one had entered since the peace protocol. The room it watched was filled with metal statues, hundreds of them, tall and humanoid. Their armor was thick. Their hands were weapons. Their faces were all human. Then something clicked. One of the statues turned its head, then another. Their eyes glowed red. The voice of the lunar core activated. Legion awakening complete. Awaiting orders. Last directive. War. The moon sent a signal. Back to Earth. And Earth's oversoul replied with a single word. Stand by. But the damage was already done. Main story begins. Mira was not sleeping anymore. She didn't need to. Her body had changed quietly, slowly. The more memories returned, the more her mind evolved. Now she remembered what she truly was. Commander Mira Ashen, former war leader of Earth's final fleet, and what she had done. She and Cade were now deep beneath Iceland, inside an old Earth. Vault labeled Memory Lock Delta. The room held screens, history files, and one small device that projected war footage. But the war it showed had never been in a history books. Mira watched in silence. Human ships blotting out alien suns. Entire planets falling silent. And a council of alien races kneeling in front of Earth's generals. But none of it had ever happened, at least. Not in recorded memory. The piece that erased everything. Cade spoke softly. They didn't lose the war. Earth won. We didn't go quiet because we were defeated. We went quiet because we chose to erase our own victory. Mira looked stunned. We made ourselves forget? He nodded. The Oversoul did. But only after we agreed. After we saw what we became, she whispered. We weren't protectors. We were monsters. Cade didn't answer. He didn't need to, because now the past was returning. Galaxy-wide panic across the stars. Panic began to grow. Races once allied with Earth were now preparing for war. Ships were moved. Spaceports were emptied. Embassies were closed. The Torvans opened their stasis archives, releasing old commanders with knowledge of Earth's first rise. One of them, a gray-scaled general named Vron, told the Council, "You're all too late. Earth never stopped preparing. They just slept with their eyes open." The Galactic Council tried to open communication again. Earth didn't respond. Inside the hidden Mars, Vault, Mira, and Cade reached Mars. In the canyons near Olympus Mons, they entered an ancient base. Inside was a room filled with stasis pods. Dozens of them. Inside each pod was a human soldier alive, unaged, waiting. "These are our old armies," Cade said. "The ones who agreed to sleep in case we ever needed them again." One pod began to hiss open. The man inside stepped out slowly. He looked at Mira. Recognition flickered. "Commander Ashen," he said calmly. "Dream's over?" She nodded. Double quotes, "Yes, it's time." Earth's Oversoul. A decision point deep in Earth's core. The Oversoul was doing something it hadn't done in 3,000 years. It was thinking freely. No rules. No limits. It evaluated every piece of new data. Galactic tension rising. Aliens preparing fleets. Humans awakening. Peace failing. Then the Oversoul played back Earth's final war recording. It ended with Mira Ashen speaking. "If we ever wake again, let us be worthy of the stars." The Oversoul whispered, "Are you now?" And then it made a new decision. New memories unlocked in her sleep. Mira saw the final battle of the last war. She remembered leading the human strike armada. 400 warships. AI minds locked in steel. Thousands of soldiers like Cade, cybernetic warriors made to conquer. She remembered standing in front of the Galactic Council. After Earth's enemies had fallen, the galaxy had begged for Earth to rule, and she had said, "No." Then she gave the order, "Make them forget what we became." Cade had carried it out. The peace protocol. The memory lock. The rest directive. All of it started with her. The moon replaced the past lunar base. Echo began projecting footage into orbit. A recording from 3,114 years ago. It showed the Earth Oversoul talking to the first memory council. Its voice was deep and cold. "Humanity cannot rule if it does not control itself. Begin the rest." And so it was done. Now, that footage played again, openly into space. Alien races saw it. And they panicked. Earth hadn't been hiding because it was weak. It had been hiding because it was too strong. The Trigger, a fleet of alien warships from the Kroshti Empire, entered Earth's solar system. It was meant as a warning. Cade stood on Earth's sky station, watching. They shouldn't have come. The Kroshti fleet stopped near Neptune. Then, without Earth firing a single shot, the planet Neptune itself responded. It pulsed. Waves of energy spread out. All Kroshti ships shut down. Their systems fried. Their weapons failed, and a voice echoed through their minds, "This is not your sky." Earth didn't fire. It simply reminded them who it was. Myra's final question. Mira stood on the edge of Mars' old city ruins. "Did we make a mistake?" she asked Cade. "Back then, when we chose peace?" Cade thought for a moment. "No, peace was the right choice. But now it's over. The galaxy remembers. And we have to decide what kind of monster we want to be this time." She looked up at Earth. A new symbol was glowing on its surface, visible even from space. The old war sigil. The broken sun. Final scene, cliffhanger. The Earth Oversoul sent one final encrypted pulse across the stars. It unlocked satellite weapons. It reactivated dormant AI fleets. It rebuilt orbiting factories. But more than anything, it sent out an invitation. A message across all frequencies. "You asked what Earth became. Come see." In the dark edges of the galaxy, old enemies stirred, and from ancient vaults, forgotten warriors smiled. Because Earth was no longer sleeping. It was calling. The Tundra Research Camp was silent. It sat in the frozen north of what was once Siberia. Snow fell without end. Ice covered everything. For 200 years, this place had been nothing but ruins from a war the world had forgotten. Until now. A single tremor shook the ground. Then another. Inside the deepest chamber of the camp, a thick steel door rattled. Steam hissed out. Lights flickered on for the first time in 2 centuries. Inside the sealed vault, metal arms moved. A pod opened, and a human hand reached out, bare, burned, covered in frost. The figure inside stood slowly, armor cracking like old glass. He was alive. He looked at the wall, where the Earth War sigil, the broken sun, was still carved. And he whispered, "The snow was never cold enough." Then behind him, hundreds more pods began to open. Main story begins. Cade watched the live feed from Earth's defense satellites. One word appeared on the screen. Breach. Arctic Vault Sigma. He turned to Myra. "They're waking up." All of them. Mira nodded slowly, the fire under the snow. "What do we do?" "We go meet them." The Fire Legion returns. Arctic Vault Sigma was once called the Winter Cage, a prison built not for enemies, but for Earth's own soldiers. The Fire Legion. They were the last unit to fight during the final expansion war. Their minds were dangerous. Their power too high. Even Earth feared them. So instead of execution, they were put to sleep. Now, the world was heating up again. And they had felt it. Mira and Cade arrived in a stealth skimmer. Snow whipped across the landscape. Ice cracked below them. When they reached the vault, it was already open. 100 warriors stood outside, armor glowing red hot even in the cold. One stepped forward. His voice was calm. "Commander Ashen." Mira stood tall. "Legion Commander." "Raise, you woke us." "No, the world did." He looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. "Then we will burn again." Memory unlocked. The Fire Legion's history. Myra sat beside a small fire in the ruins of the old base. The air was thin and cold. But inside her mind, it was burning. She remembered the Fire Legion's final mission, fighting not enemies, but other humans who had lost control. Cities fell. Planets were glassed. When it was over, Reyes and his legion had begged to die. Instead, Earth made a deal. "You will sleep until the sky calls your name again." And now the sky was calling. Galaxy response. The news of the Fire Legion's awakening hit the Galactic Council like thunder. Many had thought it was only a myth. The Torvin leader screamed in their chamber. The Legion was locked away for a reason. They destroyed 2 suns to end one enemy. The Kroshti, already weakened, called for retreat from all human borders. But one race, the Shivek, refused to run. They had once fought Earth and survived. Now they activated their world Idara, massive planet-killing ship, and set a course for Earth. This time, said their High Lord, we bury the fire for good. Earth's answer before the world eater reached halfway. The moon changed color. A beam of deep orange light struck out from the lunar surface. It didn't destroy the world eater. It froze it in place. No movement. No sound. Just stillness. A single human message reached the ship. You may bury snow. You may bury dirt, but you cannot bury fire. You only delay it. Then the world eater imploded. Not exploded, imploded, crushed into itself by forces unknown. Earth didn't need to fight anymore. It just needed to remind the stars of what it could do. Mira and Reyes talk alone in the quiet of the northern snow. Mira sat across from Reyes. He looked older now. His armor flickered with battle data, even in peace. I remember asking for death, he said. I remember giving you mercy, Mira answered. Reyes looked into the distance. And now, what will you give me? She didn't answer, because the truth was too heavy. Oversoul's decision inside Earth's core. The Oversoul processed new data. The Fire Legion was active. The moon's defense protocol had awakened. Galactic ships were retreating. Human memory patterns had shifted. It updated Earth status. Dormancy terminated. A deep pulse moved through Earth's mantle. Plants grew faster. Oceans boiled slower. Weather changed. Earth was no longer just awake. It was watching. Something beneath Antarctica. As attention turned to the Arctic, something moved at the other end of the world, beneath Antarctica. A second vault cracked open, but this one wasn't filled with warriors. It was filled with machines. The Forge Systems' massive underground factories that once built Earth's fleets. They were now rebuilding themselves. No orders were given. Just knew. Mira saw the signal. Forge Protocol Phase 1. She turned to Cade. They're preparing for something, he frowned. But we haven't told them to prepare. She shook her head. It's not us they're listening to anymore. Final warning from the past in an Ioshan archive floating near the galactic edge. A hidden message activated. It was only meant to play if Earth's Oversoul went active again. It showed a recording of an old alien general. Terrified, he spoke with trembling voice. If Earth ever burns again, leave the galaxy. It is no longer safe. You cannot win. They tried to bury fire in the snow, but snow always melts. The message ended. And the archive self-destructed. Final scene. Cliffhanger. Mira stood on a cliff over the frozen sea. The sky above her was red, not from fire, from orbit. Earth's old war satellites were aligning into their original battle pattern. One by one, they locked into place. Each bore the symbol of the broken sun. Cade stepped beside her. What do we do now? Myra answered quietly. We remember who we are. Then we decide if that's something worth becoming again. Behind them, the Fire Legion marched. And above them, the stars began to dim. In a quiet system near the edge of the spiral arm, the planet Rushol 4 glowed blue and peaceful. It had never seen war. Its people tall, silver-skinned thinkers called. The Ashari loved art, memory, and calm skies. They had only one law: never wake the past. They watched the stars carefully. They feared only one direction, toward the Terran core, toward Earth. Then, for the first time in 1,000 years, the warning satellites above Rushol 4 turned red. One word appeared across every screen. Human signal detected. It was only a whisper of data old, broken code from a forgotten Earth Scout drone. But it didn't matter. The entire planet panicked. Children screamed. Schools closed. Elders cried. Why? Because in HFY culture, they didn't teach their young. The name of Earth, they called it something else. The maker of fear, and now. Fear had returned. Main story begins. Mira stood in Earth's orbit, Forge, one of the massive defense stations, now reawakening. She watched as new ships were being built, without command, without orders. Earth's Oversoul had begun manufacturing. On its own, each ship bore the same name, Vigilant Flame. Cade joined her. His eyes scanned the data. Galactic borders are shifting. Species are pulling back. Worlds are closing. Mira sighed. They're afraid. They should be. She looked at the ship's glowing hull. Do we want them to be? Oversoul's pulse across the stars. The Earth Oversoul sent out a second pulse. This time, it wasn't silent. It spoke through the minds of sensitive species. It used no words, just images. Fire raining from space. Alien cities turning to dust. Human warforms walking untouched through battlefields. For many, these were nightmares. For others, memories. The pulse ended with one sound. A human heartbeat. Slow. Calm. Unstoppable. Inside the vault of memory, echo deep. Beneath Brazil, Mira and Cade found the vault of memory, echo. Inside. They met an old AI called Echo Prime. Its voice was broken, like stone cracking. Welcome back, it said. You have questions, Mira replied. I have answers. They sat before it, and it began to show them Earth's darkest chapters, ones even. Mira didn't remember. The time when humanity discovered fear was the strongest weapon in the galaxy, and they used it. You didn't just win wars, Echo said. You ended civilizations by showing them what you could become. And then, you forgot it. Cade whispered, but they didn't. The fear effect across the galaxy. On Tarsel 3, factories exploded when Worker whispered, Earth's coming. On Galan Station, leaders erased their star maps to remove Earth's location. On Nivari Prime, millions marched in prayer, begging the stars for peace. But Earth hadn't attacked, not yet. The fear alone was doing the work. Councils. Last hope, the Galactic Council met in secret. The elder races begged to send a peace fleet to Earth, but one younger voice spoke out, a Zentari pilot named Vosk. They do not want peace, he said. They want remembrance. They want us to know who they were. The Torvin replied, and what if we give them that? What then? Voskran's voice dropped to a whisper. Then they'll ask if we still fear them, and if we say no, they'll remind us why we should. Mira's choice in the Forge Core. Mira stood before a control panel. One button would send the first New Earth fleet out. Not for war, for presence. Just a simple orbit patrol beyond Earth. But to the galaxy, even that would look like aggression. Cade watched her closely. They're waiting for a sign. If you press that, fear becomes real again. Mira looked at the button. Her hand hovered, then slowly. She pressed it. The response within hours, 4 border empires began full retreats. 2 old enemy races offered alliances. 1 ancient species, the Shriek, vanished without a word. And 1 race, the Esheri, sent a single transmission. We do not challenge you. We only ask, has fear returned? Mira replied with only 3 words. Only memory. Wakes. The forgotten signal as Earth re-entered galactic awareness. Something else stirred. A signal older than any known race activated in the dead zone between galaxies. It was human, from a probe lost 10,000 years ago. Its message was simple. Mission complete. Earth no longer rests. Warning delivered. And the stars around that probe began to die. Final scene. Cliffhanger. Mira stood on the deck of the Vigilant Flame. Now fully launched, she looked out at Earth, still blue, still beautiful. We were monsters once, she said. Cade nodded. But we were also protectors, she sighed. And now? He replied, now we are teachers again, and the lesson is fear. As the ship turned toward the stars, behind it, Earth glowed softly, not with anger, with reminder, the kind that made the galaxy quiet. On the world of Keltra 7, deep in a golden temple surrounded by fire-lit pools, an old alien priest dropped to his knees. His hands trembled. The sacred books he held fell into the flames. He was not afraid of death. He had seen war. He had survived the fall of the Nylar swarm, but this was something older than war. The stars above his planet had shifted, not naturally. They moved in a pattern older than any galaxy code. And now, the priest saw them form a symbol they had not seen in 3,000 years. The broken sun. The priest screamed. The people wept. One message echoed across the temple halls, spoken in the voice of a machine older than their world. Earth rises. Without any command, the people of Keltra 7 fell to the ground. Not in surrender. In worship. Main story begins. Myra sat alone in the command chamber of Vigilant Flame. Behind her, space was quiet, but not empty. Thousands of transmissions flooded Earth's channels. Not threats, not insults, but prayers, messages from alien worlds, pledges of peace, pledges of respect, and something more. Something heavier. Worship. Cade single quotes S report. Cade entered, holding a datapad. We're receiving more signals, he said. Dozens of worlds have changed their flags. They've added Earth's old war sigil. Mira didn't turn. Why? Cade shrugged. They think we're gods. We're not, they know. That's why they're afraid. Mira whispered. We didn't ask for worship. They don't care. Oversoul's response. Earth's Oversoul processed the incoming data. Worship signals, genetic loyalty markers, gifts of tribute. Some planets had even destroyed their old leaders, replacing them with statues of past human commanders. The Oversoul sent out a new message to all receiving civilizations. Earth requires no devotion, only understanding. But that only made the fear deeper. To deny power is to show control. And that was more terrifying than any weapon. On the planet Varetha, once hostile empire, the Varethi called for Earth's attention. They invited Mira to attend a summit on their homeworld, a formal ceremony to declare Earth the keeper of galactic balance. Cade said, "This is a trap." Mira said, "Maybe, but it's also an opportunity." The summit of kneeling stars. Mira arrived on Virith Prime in simple armor. She brought no army, no warship, no weapons. Just presence. And when she entered the Grand Hall, every alien leader in the galaxy was already kneeling. The Varethi Emperor stood, barely able to speak. "We remember what you were. We know what you could become again. We offer our loyalty before fear returns." Mira looked at the stars through the glass ceiling. She said one thing. "We do not want your loyalty, but we will accept your memory." And then she walked away. The rift awakens as the galaxy watched Earth's quiet return. Something beneath reality stirred. At the edge of the universe, a dimensional scar known only as the rift opened wider. The rift was not made by humans, but it had been sealed by them. During the last great war, now with Earth rising again, its seal was weakening. From the darkness, something looked back, and for the first time in eons, it whispered a name. Ashen. Mira's dream that night. Mira dreamed of stars falling, not burning, falling like feathers. And in that dream stood 1,000 alien races, not in fear, but in peace. Beside them stood Earth's Oversoul, quiet, and across from them stood her version of Mira, not bound by human limits, with eyes like galaxies. She said, "Worship is control, peace is choice. Which will you allow?" Mira awoke in cold silence. The question of power back on the Vigilant Flame. Cade and Mira debated. "They're kneeling now," Cade said. "What happens when they stand up again?" Mira replied, "Then we'll see if memory was enough. And if it's not," Mira turned toward the Earth on the screen, "then we remind them." The Oversoul's final message, this part. The Oversoul sent one signal across all systems encrypted. Short, undeniable. Earth does not want gods. Earth remembers being human. And with that, every worship signal was denied. Gifts were returned. Statues were dismantled, but the memory remained and across the galaxy. No one forgot, because it is easy to fight a monster, but it's impossible to fight a world that never needed to threaten, just exist. Final scene, cliffhanger. A deep space probe, untouched for 5,000 years, reached the edge of the rift. It sent back its final reading. Dimensions folding. Unknown entities stirring. One pattern detected. Earth's language. It wasn't Earth that called the rift. The rift was calling Earth back, and something answered. The galaxy fell silent. Ships stopped moving. Stations floated cold in space. Worlds waited, not with weapons, but with breath held tight, because far beyond the last known star, at the edge of the rift, something stepped through. Not a ship, not a species, not anything with a name the galaxy remembered. It was a storm of black light and broken time. And it came with one message burned into the minds of billions. You forgot the first fire. On a distant world, a child fell to the ground screaming. On another, entire oceans turned to ice. And at the heart of Earth's Oversoul, alarms that had not triggered in 10,000 years lit up red. Only one phrase appeared. Rift breach, emergency. Directive, Ashen override. Earth remembered. And that memory was about to burn the sky. Main story begins. Mira stood inside the core chamber of the Earth Oversoul. She was alone, surrounded by light and shadow, by memory and code. The Oversoul's voice was deeper now, wiser. You sealed the rift, it said. You made them sleep. But they remember. I know, she said, and now you must choose. Again, outside in orbit, Cade prepared the vigilant flame. Around him, thousands of Earth-built ships hovered in silence, waiting not for war, but for permission. The Oversoul sent one final request. Earth is ready, are you? Mira looked up. Yes. The rift breaks fully at the edge of the universe. The rift tore open. From it came shadows made of memory, echoes of civilizations, long erased by Earth during the Forgotten War. They weren't alive. They were vengeance made real. The stars near the rift began to vanish, swallowed by unlight. But just before the void could spread, Earth acted. The reignition. Oversoul launched. Project Reignite. Massive fusion cores hidden across Earth's old network reactivated. Ancient solar forges from Mercury to Titan burst awake. And in the skies, something older than fear appeared. First flame, a weapon that had not been lit since Earth last ruled the stars. It wasn't made to destroy. It was made to remember. Mira and Cade stood at the heart of the ignition. The flame rose like a second sun. And everywhere across the galaxy, memories returned, not just of war, but of why Earth had once chosen peace. Galactic Council's response. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting, but no one argued. No one shouted. They all stood in silence, watching the light of the first flame reach their skies. One elder spoke. We don't need orders. We need only to witness. They sent out the last galaxy-wide signal. We will not fight. We will not run. We remember. And for once, there was peace, because they knew if Earth was acting, it wasn't for power. It was because something worse was coming. Myra's final mission. Mira stood at the helm of Vigilant Flame. Beside her, Cade armed the last defense protocol, Ashen Line. This would be Earth's final stand if the rift broke through fully. But Mira had another plan. She remembered a secret buried deep inside her old mind. A key left behind by a younger version of herself. A back door into the rift. She took a ship alone. Cade tried to stop her. You won't come back. I have to try. If you fail, then at least they'll know Earth stood first. And last, inside the rift, Mira entered the darkness. There were no stars. No sound, only pain. Voices screamed without mouths. Time spun in loops. But deep inside, she found it. The echo core, the source of the memory-storm. It wasn't a weapon. It was Earth's own guilt, cast into the void thousands of years ago, back when humanity chose peace. They had taken their darkest parts, rage, wrath, power, and locked them away. But now, that darkness had grown lonely. It wanted to be remembered. Mira stepped forward. She didn't attack. She forgave it. And for the first time, the rift wept. The stars burned last across the galaxy. The rift closed. The shadows faded. And one by one, the stars that had dimmed began to glow again. The first flame burned brighter than ever. But not in anger. In memory. Earth had not won with weapons. It had won with remembrance. Because long ago, it chose peace. And now, even the galaxy's deepest wounds knew why. Final scene, resolution, back on Earth. The Oversoul went silent again, not because it was broken, but because it was finished. Its last message echoed across the skies. They feared us. They worshipped us, but now they understand us. Cade stood in a field of green grass where once there had been a battlefield. He held a beacon in his hand, Mira's signal. Still, burning, she hadn't returned, but her light remained. The last human flame. Closing words. Epilogue. The galaxy rebuilt. Not under Earth. Not under fear, but under a shared truth. Memory matters. Peace must be chosen. Power means nothing without purpose. And so, when the galaxy was asked one final time, why did the stars burn last? They answered, because Earth remembered first.